The end of the world has arrived. My younger sister has awakened a rare spatial ability and become the apple of everyone's eye. I, however, am still a useless person, regarded as a burden by my parents and boyfriend, and thrown into a horde of zombies. But what they don't know is that I'm a word's spirit master. With just a word, I can nullify everyone's abilities. 01. When I woke up, I was running a high fever, and my whole body ached as if it was about to split apart. A middle-aged woman was muttering beside me, "Honey, Alice seems to be very ill. Should we give her some medicine?" The middle-aged man coldly rejected this request and even scolded the woman. "You women are so short-sighted. The outside is full of zombies now." The supplies were all found by Stella and the Shin family at the risk of their lives. Neither of us has awakened an ability yet. You've seen how arrogant the Shin family is. If it weren't for Stella awakening the rare spatial ability, we would have been kicked out long ago. Do you still have the time to feel sorry for this useless person? I opened my eyes, glanced around, and quickly absorbed the memories of this body. I've transmigrated, and I'm in a world of end of the world zombies. The owner of this body is also named Alice, with the same appearance and name as me. The two people who were talking just now are my parents, 2 months ago. The zombie virus suddenly broke out in this world. In just 3 minutes, a person could lose their sanity and completely turn into a zombie. Overnight, many families were wiped out, and everyone was in danger. Before long, a group of lucky people emerged in the crisis. They were called ability users. In our Chin family of 4, only my younger sister, Stella, has awakened an ability. The good news is that she has awakened the rare spatial ability, which makes her a sought-after favorite even in the apocalypse. The bad news is that I have a very poor relationship with her. 02. Fortunately, my boyfriend, Elijah, and I live in the same community. At the beginning of the zombie outbreak, Elijah came to my house to find me as soon as possible. The two families merged into one and huddled together for warmth, which allowed us to hold on until the time when abilities were awakened. All 3 members of the Shin family have awakened abilities, especially Elijah, who has awakened the lightning-type ability suitable for combat. Therefore, together with my sister Stella, he rallied the ability users from the nearby communities and formed an ability team, preparing to go to the nearest A-numbered base together. We are now on our way to the base. This is an abandoned auditorium. The zombies around have been cleared, and it serves as a temporary camp. Everyone else has gone out to kill zombies and find supplies because they need to rely on the crystal nuclei in the zombies' brains to upgrade their abilities. As ordinary people, my parents and I can only do the logistics work. In fact, I basically do all the laundry and cooking for the team by myself. Due to poor food, lack of sleep, mental stress, and having to work, I soon fell ill. As the favorite of the team, my sister's dislike for me has successfully made everyone squeeze me out, including my already biased parents. In their opinion, how could such a precious supply as medicine be wasted on a useless person like me? TSK, this 40-degree fever, I feel like I'm going to die just after transmigrating. 03, no, I have to save myself. Thinking of this, I endured the discomfort and slightly moved my mind. A little bit of pure white spiritual power immediately surged in my body. Fortunately, my golden finger has also transmigrated with me. Before transmigrating, I was the only word's spirit master in the world. Because I committed a killing sin to avenge my parents, I had to go to various worlds to be punished. I gently spat out 2 words, recover. This body was already at the end of its strength. Otherwise, the original owner wouldn't have died, and I wouldn't have replaced her. Repairing the body consumed all my word's spirit power. After I got better, my spiritual power had completely dried up. At this time, a delicate voice sounded outside the auditorium. "Dad, Mom, we're back." Then, several figures walked in. The leading ones were a handsome man and a beautiful woman, exactly Elijah and Stella in the original owner's memory. I pretended to be weak and sat up, leaning against the corner, quietly sizing up this group of ability users. "How was the harvest today?" My parents rushed over and asked obsequiously. Elijah turned his head to look at Stella, his face full of doting. "Don't worry. The supplies this time are enough for our team to eat for a week. We can definitely reach the destination successfully. Fortunately, Stella has the space ability, otherwise, we really couldn't carry so many things." As soon as the team leader spoke, the others immediately echoed, praising Stella. A blush appeared on Stella's small face. She held Elijah's arm and said coquettishly, "It's all everyone's credit. If it weren't for Elijah's saving me today, that zombie would have bitten me. Hee hee." I'm just Elijah's little housekeeper. Elijah looked at Stella tenderly. Don't worry, my little housekeeper. I'll always protect you. Yo yo yo. There was a chorus of around. The two looked at each other affectionately, completely forgetting about me, the legitimate girlfriend. 04. At dinner, I didn't get anything to eat, because as soon as I was about to line up to get biscuits, my sister started sobbing weakly. Everyone was very worried and quickly asked her what was wrong. Then she said slowly, these foods were all found by everyone risking their lives, but my sister and parents are just sitting back and enjoying the fruits of our labor. I have the responsibility to support my parents, but my sister is already an adult. I don't need to be responsible for her. Every bite she eats is the flesh and blood of our dead teammates. I'm really heartbroken. Everyone praised her again, saying that she was sensible and righteous, after all. She not only manages the supplies now, but is also the apple of the team leader Elijah's eye. But they all forgot that although I don't have an ability, I did the logistics work and have also put in the effort. More importantly, the original me was an introverted and homely girl who usually liked to stock up with her salary. For this, the Chin family's parents scolded me a lot, and Stella also sneered at me every day. At the beginning of the apocalypse, the zombie virus broke out very suddenly. The 7-member Chin and Shin families survived the days when they didn't have to go out to find supplies and didn't die at the hands of zombies, relying on the things I bought. They managed to hold out in the house until the day when abilities were awakened. What's more, the process of awakening an ability is accompanied by a high fever. At that time, Stella and the 3 members of the Shin family all had high fevers. My parents were in a panic. It was me who risked my life, carefully avoided the zombies, went to the clinic downstairs in the community to find antipyretics, and took care of them day and night until they were all out of danger. It can be said that without the efforts of the original me, there would be no present for Elijah and Stella. 05. I pinched my fingertips, and the words spirit power in my body had only recovered 50%. I need to sleep at least once to recover to 100% tomorrow. I can't conflict with the team for now. After all, they have 15 ability users. I endure and develop secretly. I'll make plans after following them to the A-numbered base. After all, that's the official base of the Xia Kingdom in this world. There will always be opportunities suitable for me. I'm a dignified words spirit master after all. At night, I avoided the night duty team members and went downstairs to the toilet. The strong smell of blood hit my face. The once prosperous and bustling city was now pitch black and in ruins. The people in the team hung a camping lamp on a tree by the roadside. Not far away, a zombie was staggering towards me. The zombie smelled the living person and rushed towards me while I looked at it with great interest. This was the first time I saw a zombie. After all, there was no such thing in my world. There was no one around. I stared at the zombie and gently spat out one word, die. Then the zombie suddenly fell to the ground. Its head exploded, leaving only a shiny thing lying in the flesh and blood. The words spirit power is effective against zombies. Great. I walked over and picked up the crystal nucleus. I felt the spiritual power in my body surging violently, showing a look of eagerness. Could the crystal nucleus be helpful to my words spirit power? I hesitated for a moment, and according to the method of other ability users absorbing crystal nuclei in my memory, I absorbed all the energy in the crystal nucleus. I was surprised to find that the spiritual domain in my body had become larger. If it was a small pond before, now it is a lake. Just after I improved my strength, a furious male bass sounded behind me. Alice, you don't sleep in the middle of the night. Are you planning to sneak away or feed the zombies to take revenge on me? I was full of questions. Turning around, I saw that it was the scumbag Elijah. 06. Seeing the dead zombie on the ground, Elijah's face darkened. He suddenly grabbed my hand and started checking me. Seeing that I was okay, he asked angrily, how could there be a level 2 zombie? I smiled and said, I don't know. It was just there when I came. Maybe it was killed by one of the team members. Elijah didn't suspect me. After all, in his opinion, how could a useless person like me kill a level 2 zombie? He pressed me against the tree, and his tone was full of accusations. Were you trying to leave just now? Wake up. In this world, without me, which man would be willing to protect a useless person like you? You can only become someone else's plaything in bed. I rolled my eyes, bent my knee, and kicked towards his crotch, sneering, Elijah, this PUA trick doesn't work on me. Whether I'm a useless person or not is up to me. Afraid of being kicked, Elijah quickly let go of me, and anger rose in his eyes. I know you're not happy that I'm with your sister, but this is no longer the peaceful era. Now that zombies are rampant, the strong are respected. A man like me is destined to do great things. There can't be only you by my side. I need to play along and I also need your sister's spatial ability, so, can you be more sensible? As he said this, he actually approached me again, trying to press his lips towards mine. I didn't want to expose the words spirit technique for the time being. This was my trump card. When I'm not strong enough, I should keep a low profile, otherwise. In this apocalypse, I would surely become a tool for people like Elijah to amass wealth and power. After all, in my world, my biological parents were also words spirit masters. They were once raised by the powerful and wealthy, helping them achieve various wishes, and finally died from the backlash of the words spirit power. Thinking of this, I rolled my eyes and shouted towards the auditorium, "Sister Stella. Your Elijah wants to rekindle our old relationship and make me the team leader's wife. What do you think? Should I agree?" Afraid of being heard by Stella, Elijah didn't care about playing the forced love game with me and fled in a hurry. After all, Stella is now the sweetheart of the team. Elijah can't lose her. I patted my clothes to get rid of the bad luck and turned back. Just as I reached the door of the auditorium, I met Stella standing in the corridor with disheveled hair. The look in her eyes when she looked at me was full of venom. 07. Early the next morning, the team packed their luggage, got into the modified cars, and continued to move towards the A-numbered base. Along the way, the team members got out of the car from time to time to kill zombies, dig out crystal nuclei, and upgrade their abilities. As humans evolve, zombies also evolve. The further forward they go, the higher the level of the zombies. Moreover, zombies can't be killed completely. But the abilities of humans are similar to my words spirit power, and there will always be a time when they run out. Killing level 1 and level 2 zombies is like killing chickens. Level 3 zombies can be killed with cooperation, but when they encounter level 4 zombies, the team is a bit overwhelmed. Encountering a level 5 zombie means certain death. My parents and I were sitting in the last car, which was full of junk. My father kept complaining about me, saying that I was holding them back. If it weren't for me, my sister wouldn't have ignored them, and they could have gone to the front and the safer car. But he forgot that he and my mother were just ordinary people, relying on trampling on me to please my sister. If one day I'm gone, who would the two of them trample on to please Stella? I closed my eyes to rest and accumulate spiritual power. No longer paying attention to these two stupid people, suddenly, the convoy stopped. And I immediately opened my eyes. I saw Stella crying and rushing out of the car in front of the team. Elijah quickly chased after her and hugged her from behind. The zombies not far away also became part of their play. Yo, did the lovebirds have a fight? I curiously stretched my head out to watch the excitement and happened to hear Stella's sobs. "Elijah, my space needs to be upgraded. If I can absorb a level 5 crystal nucleus, it will be a huge boost to the strength of our team. When we enter the base, our team will surely get preferential treatment, and maybe you can even become an official. I know we can't defeat a level 5 zombie now, but if we use my sister as a bait and we concentrate our firepower, there is still a hope of killing a level 5 zombie and getting a crystal nucleus. This is just a suggestion of mine. How could you scold me? Fine, if you like my sister, then just keep her. Anyway, there are many ability teams ahead. Since you don't welcome me, I'll join them." Hearing the reason, I narrowed my eyes. This woman actually wants to use me as a bait. Elijah quickly held Stella in his arms, kept kissing her, and said softly, "Don't cry, Stella. I only love you. We'll do as you say." 08. The car door was opened from the outside, and two ability users roughly dragged me out. At the same time, my parents were lying on the car window, watching me go to my death. My mother was crying sadly. "Alice, don't blame your father and sister, blame Mom for being useless. Mom is sorry for you, but Mom has no choice." A monstrous anger surged in my heart. I knew this was the emotion of the original owner. I tried to hold back and told her in my heart, "Don't be afraid. I won't let you die. Damn it, it's these people." I was stuffed into the trunk of a car, my hands and feet tied, unable to move. Fortunately, I felt that the words spirit power in my body had recovered to 99%, just a little bit more. Moreover, after I absorbed the crystal nucleus and expanded my spiritual domain, my words spirit power had increased a lot. I was no longer the same as I was yesterday. In this car, in the front sat Elijah, Stella, and 5 other ability users. Except for Stella, they were all the strongest fighters in the team. The convoy rushed towards the group of level 5 zombies ahead. The car made a drift at the rear. I saw that outside the group of level 5 zombies, there were also several convoys of ability users slowly moving, seemingly also looking for an opportunity to strike. In the trunks at the end of their cars were several people with terrified expressions. It seemed that they were in the same situation as me, all baits. Soon, our convoy slowed down and approached the zombie group. A vicious smile appeared on Stella's lips. Sister, being able to do the last thing for Elijah makes you a bit useful. Elijah slightly frowned, but didn't stop her. He just said, Eric, do it. Eric, a wood-type ability user, activated his ability. Countless vines appeared around, tied me up, and threw me towards the group of level 5 zombies. As soon as I landed, the stench of decay and the smell of blood immediately surrounded me. At the same time, the other teams also followed suit. The wood-type ability users threw those innocent ordinary people in my direction. Shrill screams were all around me. The gray-green zombies quickly rushed towards us. At this critical moment, the spiritual power in my body reached 100%. I looked at the baits around me who were waiting for death, and then at the ability users outside the zombie group who were high and mighty. The corners of my lips curled up. I concentrated and mobilized all my words' spirit power. I gently spat out 2 words. Swap positions, 09. The next second, the world spun. I and these baits had already arrived at the safe area outside the zombies, and those ability users who were originally in the safe area suddenly appeared in the middle of the group of level 5 zombies, exactly where the baits had stood before. I didn't target all the ability users. The blame has its owner. Those who harmed us and pushed us in should take our place. There were whales in the zombie horde. Ah, how did I end up here? Those who reacted quickly had already started using their abilities against the zombies, while those who were slow-witted had their throats bitten off in an instant. In less than 3 minutes, the zombie army had grown significantly, and Stella had also swapped positions with me. Her pretty face became as colorful as a palette in an instant, as if she simply couldn't believe that she, who had just been in Elijah's arms, was now in the middle of the zombie horde. Elijah was also caught off guard. He was kicked flying by me, who had suddenly appeared in his arms. Captain, let's go save Stella quickly. The ability users in the team were so anxious that they grabbed Elijah and rushed into the group of level 5 zombies. Stella was the hope of their entire team. All the supplies were in her possession. Without these supplies, even if they reached the A-numbered base, they wouldn't have anything to bribe the managers with to secure a good future. Elijah turned back, glared at me viciously, and gritted his teeth. Alice, don't you dare leave. Wait until I save Stella, then I'll deal with you. Only a fool would stay, and I'm not a fool. Behind me, various abilities interweaved into a chaotic scene, and all the teams were in disarray. No one cared about us baits. Compared to us, rescuing rare ability users like Stella was clearly more important. I slowly walked towards an empty vehicle. Just as I was about to leave, my parents, who hadn't gone to fight the zombies, ran towards me. As they ran, they were still scolding. Alice, how dare you treat your sister like this? You're just a useless person. Your last bit of value was to obtain a crystal nucleus for your sister. Stop right now. Such parents were better off abandoned. I didn't have the time to deal with them. Just now, using the swap positions ability had consumed a great deal of energy. The word's spirit power that I had recovered had been completely depleted, and now I was on the verge of collapse. If I didn't leave now, when Elijah had time to deal with me, I definitely wouldn't be able to escape. I stumbled into the vehicle and was about to drive away when a heterochromatic-eyed teenager suddenly blocked my way. Looking at his appearance, he was only 17 or 18 years old, and he was holding the hand of a little girl around 7 or 8 years old. Both of them were among the baits I had just saved. The teenager's eyes were extremely firm. Sister, can you take us to the A-numbered base? I heard that they accept ordinary people there. Also, my enemies are planning to go there to get promoted and get rich. I must expose their crimes. Enemies. I looked at the ability users fighting the zombies at the back of the vehicle. It seemed they were from one of the teams. Behind the teenager stood the people I had rescued. There were the old, the weak, the sick, and the disabled, all the burdens of this apocalypse. 10. I heaved a long sigh and waved for them to all get in the car. Forget it, I'll leave after I take them to their destination. After all, I was worried that if Elijah and the others didn't all die, and if we happened to meet at the A-numbered base, there would be another big fight. I really didn't want to see those disgusting people again. It would be better to find a quiet and safe place to get through this world peacefully. Fortunately, this was a modified off-road vehicle. There were 8 of us in total, and we could still fit. The teenager's name was Finn, and the little girl was his younger sister, Harrison. Neither of the siblings had awakened an ability. Fortunately, their parents had awakened abilities and rallied their relatives to form an ability team. Originally intending to protect their family members who hadn't awakened abilities, unfortunately, their relatives were greedy for profit. To become the team leader, they killed the siblings' parents, and the teenager's left eye was blinded while protecting his sister. So, it wasn't a white heterochromatic eye after all. As I listened to everyone tell their stories, I drove towards the base according to the vehicle's map. But the further I drove, the more dizzy I felt. Before I completely lost consciousness, I stepped on the brakes and then slumped onto the steering wheel. I woke up earlier than I had expected. Surprisingly, the spiritual power in my body was as abundant as a vast ocean. Not only had I fully recovered, but I had also become stronger. I was lying in the back seat of the vehicle. The little girl, Lulu, was squatting next to me, carefully scraping the bloody zombie crystal nucleus with a knife and feeding the energy inside to me. The others were all gone. Seeing that I had woken up, Lulu's face was filled with, "Sister, you're awake. The crystal nucleus really is useful to you." It turned out that after I fainted, the 7 of them, under Finn's organization, drove in the direction of the A-numbered base, but on the way, they unexpectedly encountered a group of level 2 zombies. Surrounded by the zombies, the vehicle was on the verge of being overturned. Finn gritted his teeth and told his sister to stay in the vehicle with me. If the situation got out of control, Harrison was to drive away with me. Then, the teenager led the remaining 5 people, took the tools in the vehicle, and got out to lure the zombies away. 11. Fortunately, their will to survive made them push forward bravely. As ordinary people, they actually had more experience in close combat with zombies. With their tacit cooperation, they managed to kill quite a few zombies. Seeing this, Lulu secretly slipped out of the vehicle, dug out the zombie crystal nuclei, and fed them to me while I was unconscious. She saw that I had used the word's spirit technique before and thought that I was also an ability user in this world. I ate 5 crystal nuclei before waking up. No wonder my spiritual power was so abundant. At this time, the sounds of their fighting were still ringing out outside. I quickly got out of the vehicle, looking at the appearance of everyone. I quickly spat out the word kill. As soon as the words were spoken, all the remaining zombies' heads exploded and they died. The teenager's face was covered in blood, but his non-blind eye was extremely bright as he stared fixedly at me. Then, he sensibly dug out the crystal nuclei and called everyone to get back in the vehicle with me. Seeing that I was pursing my lips and not saying anything, Finn nervously held the crystal nuclei in front of me and hurriedly explained, "Sister, don't worry. None of us were bitten by the zombies. I told Lulu to clean those crystal nuclei you ate thoroughly. What I was angry about wasn't this, or rather, I wasn't angry. Instead, I was touched, and I was also scolding myself for my own meanness. In fact, at first, I also regarded this group of people as a burden. To be honest, if I hadn't been thrown into the group of level 5 zombies by Stella and Elijah, would I have taken the initiative to save these people? The answer was no. Because in the apocalypse, there's no need for a saint. This wasn't my real world either. It was just one of my missions. I didn't have to waste my spiritual power to save them. However, when facing zombies stronger than themselves, these ordinary people, these paper-like characters, actually chose to sacrifice themselves to save me. I looked at the faintly visible base city in the distance, and a thought suddenly emerged in my heart. Who says ability users are bound to be superior? Who says the old, the weak, the sick, and the disabled can't awaken abilities? Who says these ordinary people are only fit to be zombie baits? I crushed the crystal nucleus and fiercely absorbed the energy. Then, I looked at the haggard faces in the vehicle. "Do you want to become ability users?" Everyone looked at me with full of hope and shock, nodding repeatedly. I smiled slightly. All the spiritual power in my body that had just recovered was exhausted, and even my physical strength and soul were overdrawn. White light spots surged towards them. "Wish you all get what you want." 12. When we arrived at the A-numbered base in a dusty state, it was already 3 months later. The legendary official base was large, but it was also a bit simple and in a state of needing to be rebuilt. There were people everywhere, everyone looked numb, and there were quite a few survivors queuing up at the entrance, wanting to get in. The 8 of us had just finished tidying up the allocated house and were about to go to the logistics department of the base to apply for a residence permit. This combination of the old, the weak, the sick, and the disabled attracted a lot of malicious looks as we walked on the road. After queuing for a while at the logistics department, just as it was almost our turn, several figures forcefully cut in front of me. Before I could say anything, the person who cut in opened his mouth arrogantly. "This is the captain's wife of Team 61, she's very busy. After getting the supplies, she has to go back to do something important. Cutting in front of you is an honor for a useless person like you." Got it. So, they saw that I didn't have an ability and thought I was an easy target. I stopped Finn, who was about to step forward to help me, and stared at the lackey who spoke with a half smile, calling out his name, "Eric. Long time no see, yo. Isn't this the wood-type ability user who threw me into the group of level 5 zombies?" Hearing my voice, the woman Eric called Captain's wife immediately turned her head. She stared at me with venomous and malicious eyes and roared, "Alice, how dare you show up? You've caused Elijah and me so much suffering. You should die." This woman was exactly Stella. She actually didn't die. She had a really tough life. That was a group of level 5 zombies. Stella pointed at me and shouted hysterically at Eric, "Kill her, kill this bitch." 13. This time, I didn't have to do anything. The teenager standing closely beside me, acting as my little bodyguard, had already moved, a shadow flashed, and Stella's neck was already in Finn's grasp. With a little more force, he could break it, and during this process, Eric didn't even have time to react. My long-lost wonderful parents also emerged at this time, apparently. They hadn't had a good time in these 3 months. They had lost a lot of weight. My father still had that sharp-tongued and mean look. He reached out to hit me. "You little bitch, let go of your sister." The little girl Harrison, who had been holding my hand, moved. With a wave of her hand, the arm my father had raised high was frozen, and the frost was continuing to spread towards his body. My mother, who used to only cry weakly, actually stood up this time. She protected my father like a mother bear protecting her cubs and pointed at me, screaming, "Alice, he's your father, that's your sister, we're family." I laughed. When my supplies were taken over, they didn't remember I was family. When I was being bullied, they didn't remember I was family. When I was thrown into the zombie horde as a bait, they didn't remember I was family. Now they remember. The logistics department was in chaos. Soon, a patrol team arrived. Stella, regardless of being held by Finn, was still pointing at me and spouting nonsense. "Save me, kill these people. I'm telling you, my Elijah is the captain of Team 61. If you don't listen to me, I'll make him kick you out." My parents also chimed in. Eric, on the other hand, sensed something was wrong and wanted Stella to stop talking. But unfortunately, Stella didn't listen at all. Everyone around was stunned. Just by looking at their uniforms, they could tell that this patrol team was one of the personal guards of the base chief. "No, how dare this family?" A scornful laugh that carried authority came from the crowd. "I wonder how I didn't know. In my numbered base, is it already the captain's wife of Team 61 who makes the decisions, and she wants to kill my honored guests?" 14. It was actually the base chief who came. Everyone quickly greeted him. Only the 3 members of the Chin family were stupid and unaware. Stella even gave the base chief a pitiful look, attempting to use her ridiculous green tea skills. Base chief brother, they're bullying me." The base chief took 3 steps back with a constipated look on his face. After all, Elijah was someone who came to seek refuge with him and was now incorporated into the base soldiers. Not to mention that he had no such intention at all, even if he did. He wouldn't dare to touch the woman of his subordinate. "Don't call me that randomly. At my age, I'm more than old enough to be your uncle. Please address me by my position." After that, the base chief nodded at me and then said to Finn with a smile, "Captain Harrison, for my sake, please let go of this lady. Don't worry, I will definitely give you an explanation for today's matter." The 3 members of the Chin family were stunned. "Captain Harrison, so Alice has climbed onto a high branch. Otherwise, how could a useless person like her enter the base?" "Base chief, you must uphold justice for us. Alice has a vicious mind. 3 months ago, she killed all of our teammates. Otherwise, there would be more people coming to seek refuge with you." Unfortunately, the base chief didn't bother to pay attention to them and asked the patrol team to drag them away. It was the whispers of the melon-eating crowd around that reached their ears. Damn. Could these people queuing be the newly arrived ability team today? Surely they are. I heard that as soon as they came, they passed the test and became the 20th ranked team in terms of strength in the base. Yeah, it said that there are 8 people in their team, a collection of the old, the weak, the sick, and the disabled. Their captain is a young man who can teleport. Isn't it exactly the one who just grabbed the neck? So, they're the base chief's honored guests. 15. Yes. Finn and the others were no longer what they used to be. They were incredibly powerful. Saying they were powerful was because they were all level 5 ability users, and they all had dual-type rare abilities. For example, Finn had spatial and teleportation abilities, and Harrison had ice-type and immobilization abilities. The other teammates were also very strong, in this apocalypse. Dual-type ability users were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. Not to mention that they were all rare abilities. Throughout the entire A-numbered base, only the base chief was a dual-type ability user, currently at level 8, and the regular base soldiers were almost all at levels 4 to 7. The rest of the miscellaneous teams that came to seek refuge were basically just awakened and hadn't exceeded level 3, for example, Elijah and Stella and the others back then. But after just 3 months, their abilities must have been improved. Saying they were was because this team was really a motley crew. There were either little girls or old men and ants. Although the captain was young, he was half blind. What was most talked about was that this young captain named Finn actually took an ability-less ordinary woman with him wherever he went. Yes, this woman was me. After 3 months of training, I led Finn and the others to seek refuge with the A-numbered base, and the base chief welcomed us warmly. After confirming that this base chief was a good person who did practical things, I confessed and demonstrated my ability to him. The base chief was overjoyed and immediately wanted to appoint me to an official position, but I quickly refused, saying that it would be better for me to act as an ordinary person. The base chief thought about it and agreed. My ability, the word's spirit technique, should be well hidden. I should eat more crystal nuclei to improve my ability and strive to clear the zombies with a single word as soon as possible, bringing peace back to this world. When Finn and the others went to take the assessment, our team was directly promoted to 20th place, fully demonstrating our strength. This was without me using my word's spirit technique. The base chief waved his hand and allocated us a small villa for the 8 of us to live in. Although it was a rough, finished house with nothing in it, after all, it was a newly built house in the apocalypse. Compared with those collective dormitories, it was already very good. It was when we were going to the logistics department to go through the formalities after tidying up the house that we had a conflict with Stella and the others. 16. I didn't deliberately inquire about the follow-up of the matter. It was the 2 ants in the team who came back and told me after going to eat the melon. It was said that after Elijah came back from a mission to kill zombies outside, he was notified to go to the prison to bail out his girlfriend and his future-in-laws. Because of poor management, Elijah was deducted 3 months' salary by the base chief and was severely criticized in front of everyone. The current salary included base currency and some supplies. This punishment was not a big deal for Elijah. However, the problem was that he lost face because of Stella, and he happened to be the most face-conscious and eager to climb up. This punishment wasn't too severe. Coincidentally, during the Reconstruction period, for the base chief, every person who came to seek refuge was a help to humanity. It was difficult to distinguish between law and human feelings. As a manager, he couldn't impose a heavy punishment on Elijah for such a small matter, otherwise it would lead to a loss of morale among the people. Finn stood alone on the balcony, looking out at the vast, dark base, his mood gloomy. When he saw me approaching, he suddenly said, "Elijah and Stella will definitely cause trouble for you in the future. I'll go and kill them." I stared at the stubborn face of the young man and his left white-eyed gaze, and asked, "Then why haven't you gone after your enemies?" After all, those enemies had all come to the base and joined the base soldiers. Finn lowered his head and remained silent. I knew he was afraid of dragging me down. I let out a long sigh and patted his shoulder. "So, I don't want my affairs to drag you down either. You still have to live here in the future. It's best not to openly go against the base chief's wishes. As for those enemies, don't worry, I'll handle them." But it wasn't the right time yet. As a word's spirit master, I'm also part of the Shanmen. I can't kill innocent people indiscriminately. If I commit more killing sins, I might not be able to return to my own world. I don't need to waste my spiritual power on these scumbags. When they try to kill me again, I'll strike with a single blow. That's the right path of cause and effect. 17. It was said that the Shin family's parents were currently arguing fiercely with my parents. The Shin family's parents said that the Chin family were all useless and only dragged down their son. My parents said that the Shin family were ungrateful. If it weren't for their 2 daughters, the Shin family wouldn't be where they are today. Elijah and his group had come to seek refuge at the A-numbered base 3 months ago. It was said that they had suffered heavy losses because of my swap positions move to save Stella. Only the 3 members of the Chin family, Elijah's family of 3, and Eric had escaped from the team when they first arrived. Elijah used the supplies in Stella's space to give a lot of gifts to the people in charge, and thus became a small team leader. Unfortunately, the people under him were no longer his original teammates, but new ability users who joined the base, and they didn't each other. Elijah didn't initially reveal his relationship with Stella. It was the 3 members of the Chin family who shamelessly publicized it everywhere, trying to cling to Elijah, this wealthy son-in-law. Many people had seen Elijah showing a cold face to Stella in public, but that woman was unaware and still immersed in love. Elijah had also come to look for me, but he couldn't even enter the villa area where I lived. Only the base chief or important officials could enter here, and there were special people on patrol. In the days without anyone disturbing, I led Finn and the others to continuously clean up the zombies on the outskirts of the base to obtain crystal nuclei. After handing over a part, the remaining ones were distributed to the team members to help them improve their abilities. I didn't need these things because the scientific researchers prepared the purest and most refined crystal nucleus energy for me every day. Every time he saw the energy being delivered, Finn's face would become heavy. Sometimes, he would say to me with a tense expression, "Alice, let me send you away." I drank it all in one go, knocked on his head, and said angrily, "Call me captain or sister, have some respect." I knew what Finn was worried about, but I had already made up my mind. 18. I saw Elijah, Stella, and the others again 3 months later. At this time, it had been 8 months since the zombie outbreak, and the order of humanity was gradually recovering from a complete collapse. More bases were emerging, and survivors were banding together to kill zombies and rebuild their homes. However, in the midst of this bustling activity, a piece of bad news came. The joint investigation team of the 4 major official bases had confirmed that the zombie virus was developed by the M country, with the aim of destroying all of humanity and leading the zombie army to unify the world. Now, the zombie army of the M country was slowly approaching the Xia country. It was said that this batch of zombies were all ability user zombies, and they were as high as level 7. Some had even mutated and developed intelligence. It was conceivable how difficult it would be to kill them. There were 2 types of zombies, ordinary zombies and ability user zombies. When ability users and ordinary zombies were at the same level, it was already difficult to kill the zombies, let alone deal with a batch of ability user zombies at the same level or even higher than humans. The unnumbered base was close to the southern capital on the border. After learning this news, the base chief summoned all the team leaders to the southern capital to intercept the zombie army. They must not be allowed to enter the Xia country, otherwise, the newly established homeland would surely be destroyed, and the morale of humanity would be severely hit. It was in this situation that Elijah and I, leading our respective teams, met. The Shin family's parents and Stella were also there, right? After all, Stella was a spatial ability user, as the saying goes. An army marches on its stomach. She was very useful. This time, Stella didn't curse at me as she used to. Instead, she nestled obediently in Elijah's arms. The more she behaved like this, the more it was out of character for her. There must be something wrong. As for Elijah, taking advantage of the fact that there were few people around, he came over with a complex expression, trying to hold my hand, but was blocked by Finn. Elijah obviously didn't recognize Finn as one of the baits from before. He said angrily, "Alice, to find me, you actually stooped to clinging to Captain Harrison. Now that you've found me, why don't you come over quickly? You're my girlfriend." After all, 19, I was too lazy to deal with such a narcissistic man and turned around to leave. After this period of feeding, my spiritual domain was as vast as a sea. Finn and the others were already very strong, but it took all 7 of them working together to kill a level 7 zombie on the horizon. The zombies were like ants, densely packed and surging forward, endless. Everyone was fighting desperately for their homeland behind them. I also stood near the team, starting to assess this zombie army. There were too many of them, and their strength was too strong. If I used my word's spirit power to eliminate them, I wasn't sure if I would fall into a coma or die from the backlash. I couldn't take risks easily. I should also give Finn and these ability users a chance to train. I wouldn't stay here forever. However, I didn't expect that at the end of the zombie army, a super large zombie several stories tall suddenly appeared. Its aura was that of a level 9 zombie king. What was even more outrageous was that it waved its hand, and all the ability users froze, but the zombie army was not affected. It was actually a time stagnation ability user zombie. This was similar to Harrison's immobilization ability. But Harrison's was a single target control, while this zombie king's was a group control. Seeing the zombie army rushing towards Finn, my teammates, and the brave soldiers, I could no longer hide my ability. The vast word's spirit power spread out, protecting everyone. Then, I spat out one word towards the zombie army and the zombie king, "Die." As soon as the word was spoken, I lost all my strength. Blood flowed from my 7 orifices, and I fell to the ground, in a daze. I saw that Stella had actually broken free from the time stagnation ability and was slowly approaching me. "Sister, you're really a word's spirit master, but unfortunately, no matter what you are, you're going to die today." 20. As she spoke, she was about to touch my body and send me into her space, but the next second, one of the ability users who had been frozen in place suddenly walked out. This person launched Golden Earth Dual type abilities, trapping Stella in place. The person's voice was cold as he asked, "Oh, is that so?" Stella turned around in a panic and met the calm and angry face of the base chief. The other ability users around also all moved, slowly surrounding her. Stella panicked. "No, this isn't right. How could this be? John said you would all be frozen by the zombie king." After saying this, she realized that her identity had been completely exposed. With a flash, she entered her space to hide. This was a method many spatial ability users would use. Even Finn had perfectly combined his spatial and teleportation abilities and had become a famous assassination king in the base. Unfortunately, Stella had met me. Finn rushed forward in one step, helped me up, and let me lean on his rapidly maturing shoulder. I gently opened my lips, pointed at the place where Stella had disappeared, and said, "Spatial ability," as soon as the words were spoken. Stella was ejected from the space and collapsed to the ground. A pile of supplies fell all over the place, completely burying her in her shrill screams. Only then did the base chief walk towards me. He shook my hand with a big smile and an apologetic look. Ms. Chin, we really appreciate you this time. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't have been able to expose the spy, nor could we have shattered the country's scheme after that. He coldly waved his hand, and his personal guards immediately arrested Stella, who had become an ordinary person. Eric and the stunned Elijah's family of 3 were also handcuffed and taken away. Yes, from the beginning to the end, this was a plan of ours. The base chief had always suspected that there was a spy in the base. After learning that the zombies were besieging the city, he immediately called me and several high-level officials to a meeting, asking us to play along with the plan this time. He would also hide among the crowd and come with us. That's when we discovered that the spy was Stella. It turned out that Stella had already cooperated with the country before entering the unnumbered base and had been passing on information about the base to those people. She wasn't completely stupid. Based on the swap positions incident, she deduced that there was something abnormal about me and told the country. The country immediately became very interested in me. After all, I was the only words spirit master in the world, so they designed this zombie siege incident just to take me away for research. If they could have me, wouldn't the whole universe be theirs? 21. Stella was locked up in the base prison. After all the information was interrogated, she would be executed on a selected day. Before the execution, she seemed to have been scared crazy. She shouted, "How dare you? I'm the captain's wife of Team 61. Who dares to touch me? Elijah, save me, save me. I did it all for you." Then she screamed, "Alice, you'll die a horrible death. It's all your fault." Finally, with a gunshot, her sinful life came to an end. To my surprise, according to the base chief's investigation, Stella had actually only contacted the country for Elijah. Stella was deceived, and the real traitor was Elijah. But he had the guts, but no courage. He wanted to have his cake and eat it too, and also wanted to have a good reputation. Unfortunately, he didn't actually become a spy, so he couldn't be sentenced to the death penalty. The base chief thought about it and decided to let me go to the prison. I saw Elijah. The once proud son of heaven was now covered in blood and dirt, with a hideous scar on his face that hadn't healed yet and was exuding a faint stench. It was said that his parents couldn't bear the torture and had already died. Eric was actually infatuated. When he heard that Stella was killed, he immediately escaped from prison, but was shot dead before he even got out of the prison door. Seeing that it was me, Elijah laughed coldly. "Alice, you deceived me so well. If you had told me earlier that you were also an ability user, that you were a words spirit master," I curled my lips and sneered. "What would you have done?" Elijah struggled insane, and the chains rattled. "I wouldn't have been seduced by Stella. I would have been with you properly. Alice, Alice, you have to believe me. I love you. I really only love you. It was Stella who seduced me. I was just using her." Finn gently moved his steps, blocking Elijah's ferocious gaze towards me. I pushed the young man away and said calmly to Elijah, "I'm not here to listen to your love story. The Alice you loved is already dead." As I spoke, I spat out 4 words to him: ability failure. This was what the base chief asked me to do in the prison: turn Elijah into an ordinary person and let him stay in prison for the rest of his life. Unable to live or die, feeling his ability disappear, Elijah panicked and roared, "Alice, you can't do this to me. Alice, do you think the base chief has no ulterior motives? Do you think this young man who hasn't even grown up is sincerely treating you well? They're all just using you. If you rely on him, you'll surely die. Your end won't be any better than mine." These absurd words couldn't hurt me at all. I didn't look back at Elijah even once and walked out leisurely. But I didn't expect that Finn, who had been standing side by side with me, suddenly stopped. He turned around, looked down at Elijah, and said triumphantly, "You're wrong. It's us who rely on her, and it's me who relies on her." 22. After this matter was settled, the base launched a vigorous cleaning campaign. It mainly targeted the following crimes: people who had eaten so-called 2-legged sheep before, people who had deliberately injured or killed human compatriots by extraordinary means before, people who had maliciously maxed out their credit cards and made 0 yuan purchases before and now refused to repay their debts through work, and so on. A series of liquidation lists were drawn up, and the ability team that had thrown Finn and the others into the zombie horde was also on the list. They were all locked up in prison. After I nullified their abilities, they would be sent to the most distant and dangerous places to do brick-laying work for post-disaster reconstruction. Watching the convoy taking the prisoners away, I and the team members stood on the high city wall. Seeing them off, I smiled and asked everyone, "With your great revenge avenged, are you happy now?" Lulu jumped into my arms, rubbed her face affectionately against mine, and said in a soft voice, "Sister, I'm really, really grateful to you. The others also had tears in their eyes. Yes, if it weren't for you, I reached up to stop them and said with a smile, don't worry, every day from now on will be a brand new day. Finn didn't say anything. He stood quietly beside me, in a protective stance. He was like a tall, straight, and unyielding Populus Euphratica, born and grown in the barren desert. He had become the most reliable tree. Nearby, humans were bustling with activity, actively rebuilding their homes. In the distance, the haze was dissipating, and a bright red glow was slowly rising on the sea level. The dawn of humanity was finally coming. Epilogue 1. Unexpectedly, I stayed in this world for 6 years. The perseverance of humanity is far stronger than imagined, although the base chief sent me crystal nucleus energy every day without fail. He actually didn't ask me to do anything. I once asked him directly, with my current ability, I could instantly eliminate the zombies in the Xiao country and restore the Xiao country to its pre-disaster state. Why did he keep me here but not make this request? This always kind-hearted big shot suddenly became serious and looked at me with bright eyes. Have you ever thought about it? Although this virus was brought by the M country, wasn't it also a kind of cleansing and tempering for humanity? There was a look in his eyes that I couldn't understand. Let nature take its course. Wait until there's really no other way, and then you, this trump card, can make a move. Although the base chief stopped me, I still went to patrol the base every day. Like a fortune teller, I secretly blessed everyone. I wish everyone today also gets what they want. In the first year, with the A-numbered base as the center, zombies were cleared. There were no more zombies within a radius of 200 kilometers. In the second year, the base expanded outward. Factories were erected. Farmland was prosperous, and various living facilities were established. The A-numbered base became City A. In the third year, education was restarted within City A, and externally, it began to support friendly forces and help other bases rebuild. In the fourth year, with City A as the center, 8 cities rose in the Xiao country, all reaching the lowest pre-disaster level. A total of 400 million survivors were accommodated. In the fifth year, the Xiao country developed a special medicine for zombies. Experiments showed that after being bitten by a zombie, humans had a 50% chance of not turning into a zombie, and this 50% was the hope of humanity, also meaning that the zombie apocalypse was starting to decline. The surviving bases of various countries began to ask the Xiao country for help, and the Xiao country suddenly became the center of the world. In the sixth year, the Xiao country united with the survivors of various countries around the world to form an alliance, and the M country, the alliance won, and the zombie era came to an end. 2. This was the New Year's Eve of the 7th year. It was also the first New Year I had spent in this world. In the previous 6 years, everyone was busy, and there was no time for entertainment at all. Uncle Hu waved his hand and decided that everyone in City A could have a wonderful New Year this year. Oh, right. Uncle Hu was the former base chief and was now the city lord of City A. After years of getting along, he and I had become friends despite the age gap. He also regarded me as half of his daughter. I celebrated the new year with my former teammates. The uncles and aunts in the team had all retired to the background, leaving the now less dangerous world and more opportunities to the younger generation. Zhu Lu had grown into a big girl and was now the captain of a small ability team, and Finn, because of his outstanding abilities, had been continuously promoted by Uncle Hu and had become the top figure in the second-generation leadership of City A. After a few rounds of drinks, I looked up at the sky. The stars and the moon were bright and beautiful. My hometown also had such a beautiful sky. A warm hand rested on my shoulder, and a man's deep voice came from beside me. Where is your hometown? Turning my head, I saw that it was Finn. In 6 years, he had grown into a mature man, with a murderous aura from the trials of blood and rain, but when facing the Bates who had escaped with him back then, he seemed to be still that gentle and firm one-eyed teenager. It turned out that in my slightly drunk state, I had blurted out my innermost thoughts. Back then, my master told me that transmigrating to other worlds was both a punishment for me and an opportunity. Perhaps I could expand my spiritual domain and broaden my horizons. When I got rid of my hostility and found my original intention, I might be able to go home. Suddenly, 9 meteors streaked across the sky in the distance, colorful and magnificent. I pushed Finn's hand away and stumbled towards the direction where the meteors were falling. I looked back at the brightly lit city and laughed at the meteors. Master, are you satisfied with what I'm doing now? Are you here to take me home? 3. I rushed into the falling streamer, feeling my body being lifted by the light. In the distance, Uncle Hua and other high-level officials, who had received the news, were hurrying over. Nearby, Finn, who was in a panic, rushed towards me. Alice, I smiled and stopped him with a word. Finn, this world needs you. I believe you can do a great job. Uncle Hua had painstakingly trained him all these years, not for him to be entangled in love. Seeing Finn freeze in place, hanging his head and no longer moving, I waved goodbye to everyone. I'm going home. Thank you all for teaching me self-reliance and resilience over the years. They could have used me, but they didn't. Instead, they relied on themselves and made it step by step to where they were today. Over the past 6 years, my spiritual domain had covered the entire world of this time of space. All the crystal nuclei they hunted had ended up in my stomach, and now, I slowly released my word's spirit power, giving it back to them. May your country prosper and your families be happy and harmonious. May you never suffer from disasters again and always be safe and well. Goodbye, friends in the parallel world. For many, many years later, in a history class in the Xia country, an AI teacher was using a light brain to tell the students about this arduous period in the past. About the history of the ancestors' fight against the zombies. At the end, the teacher mentioned the leader Finn, who had turned the battered Xia country into the #1 power in the world. The students were chatting animatedly. Teacher, Chief Harrison is so amazing. I want to be like him. The AI's electronic eyes were full of seriousness, but according to Chief Harrison's biography in your human's unofficial history, the most powerful person at that time wasn't him, but a woman surnamed Chin. Student, teacher, why does the book say that the cause of Chief Harrison's death is unknown? AI smiled. Well, because your human archaeologists still haven't found his tomb, so there are many speculations. Some people say that he scattered his ashes into the sea, some people say that he didn't die at all, but immigrated to another planet. Of course, I'm more inclined to the third theory. He went to another parallel world, after all, in his middle and later years. He was always engrossed in researching time machines and such. I think there must be someone very important to him there.